Hi there and welcome to the latest edition of the England Golf Podcast. My name's Ian McFarlane and I'll be bringing you news, views and interviews from around the amateur golf scene in England. Golf is back from Monday 29th of March and in 4 balls too, so start dusting down those clubs and preparing for the first top, slice, hook or maybe even a power fade down that first fairway. The Masters is just around the corner. The England Golf schedule for the new season has been tweaked and released, and there continues to be positivity around the rollout of the vaccine. Spring is sprung, and after the trials and tribulations of the last year, well, we're all due a break heading into the 2021 season. For 2 of England Golf's national squad members, a mention of Augusta National carries extra significance. Coming up in this edition of the podcast, we hear from Gloucestershire's Joe Long as the amateur champion prepares to make his Masters debut, and reveals why surfing is definitely off limits after a recent injury scare, how he's turned into a history buff to learn more about one of golf's most iconic venues, and the debt he owes to European Tour star and fellow Bristolian Chris Wood for helping to shape his Masters master plan. Also joining us on the podcast is a rising star of the women's game, May Humphreys, as she prepares for her return to Georgia to take part in the Augusta National Women's Amateur for the second time. We also hear from Manchester Metropolitan University's Chris Mills and England Golf's Matt Bloor on a new study into golf club volunteering. And finally we catch up with England new boy Jack Dyer as the men's squad player tells us about a winning winter spent honing his skills in South Africa. All that plus the news roundup coming up on the England Golf Podcast. First up though, let's hear from Joe Long. Joe defeated friend and England colleague Joe Harvey in the Amateur Championship final last summer at Royal Birkdale, and one of the spin-offs from that victory was a slot at Augusta. The countdown is on to his eagerly anticipated debut. I grabbed a quick chat with the 23-year-old as he prepared to leave his South African training base to head to Georgia. I began by asking him just how excited he was to head up Magnolia Lane for the very first time.
Yeah, obviously I'm really excited. But I think it still hasn't quite hit me. I think because I'm in South Africa still, and I think once I get to America, it feel more real. So I'm trying not to think about it too much at the minute. But I know I'm one of them. When it gets really close to it, that's when I'll really be getting hyped up for it, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you won the amateur championship last year, you said, "Oh, listen, it's too far away in the future. I can't really think about it." But it must be playing in your mind now. You must be envisaging that first tee shot, that playing the 12th hole, playing the 16th, thinking about what you do at the par 5s and the back 9. It must be swirling through your mind.
Yeah, definitely it is. I mean, me and my caddy have been chatting a little bit about certain holes and been listening to a lot of podcasts from past winners and guys that have played it a lot, and just absorbing as much information as I can. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's pretty surreal still.
That's a bit of a blow. You mentioned you've got a caddy, because I was going to offer my services. I am free that week, so just keep that in mind, Joe.
I'll have a thing.
if you need a substitute. Now, just looking back, you're obviously somebody who's still quite young in the game, only 23. This is where I begin to feel old, because you were born the year that Tiger won the Masters with his record score.
That's right, yeah.
When I mentioned the Masters to you, what is your earliest memory of the competition? What sticks out in your mind from your youth watching it on TV?
Yeah, I mean, I took up the sport quite late. Not quite late, but like when I was 10 or 11, didn't really get in to start watching golf until I was a bit older. So I'd probably Rory McIlroy when he was in the lead. I didn't watch all of it, but I just remember seeing the highlights on TV. So probably that's the earliest memory I have. And then probably when Bubba won in that playoff and hit that massive hook. So little memories like that are probably my earliest memories from actually watching it.
That was an incredible shot, wasn't it? Out of the trees on the right of the 10th. It just defies logic.
Yeah, it does.
Are you quite a student of the game, Joe? Is the history of it something that you take keen interest in, or is it now something you're taking an interest in because you're going to these great venues on the back of winning the amateur last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've started to become more of a student of it. I mean, looking at the history of the old golfers like Hogan, Sam Snead, read Sam Snead's book, so I'm quite interested in that. And there's a lot of funny memories of him playing at Augusta, which I quite like as well. But yeah, definitely it makes you look at the history of it a bit more when you go to these events, for sure.
And the Masters is one of these events that really looks after amateurs. I mean, it goes back to the fact that Bobby Jones was instrumental in the championship itself, and he was obviously a very decorated amateur golfer. Now, one of the perks of being at Augusta is that the amateurs get to stay in the clubhouse, in the Crow's Nest, as it's called.
That's correct.
Very trendy loft apartment at quite a handy location. So are you taking up that option this year?
Yeah, so this year we get the option of just staying one night due to the COVID reasons. So yeah, I'm staying the Sunday before the tournament starts, which is exciting. So, there's a great bit of history of amateurs that have stayed there. So it's pretty special, and I think you even get your own robe for the night by what I've seen. So it looks pretty cool to me.
So even if you don't emerge from this event with a green jacket, you do get a very nice dressing gown. So that's
yeah. I don't know if you can take it away, but I definitely know you can wear it for the night, which is cool.
Is it a green dressing gown?
No, it's white.
Thought everything would be green.
Yeah.
Now you obviously go into this as the amateur champion, which was a great feat last year. I think it's fair to say that you're a competitor and you go into events trying to win it. But probably the Masters is something that you're not really expecting to win this year. So what are your goals from taking part in the week? Is it the Silver Cup for the amateur? Is it to make the cut? I mean, how are you approaching it?
Pretty similar to how I approach most events. I don't go into events expecting to win as such. Obviously, I'd like to, and everyone likes to win, but I feel like if I really put pressure on like a certain goal, say making the cut at the Masters or, getting that low amateur, I think it will put more pressure on you and it leads to expectation. So if I put expectation on my stuff, I'm going to get frustrated. My goal is to go there, absorb every moment, absorb all the skills and the tips from the players, and just go and do my thing. Go and just one shot at a time, process. If I can, not get too absorbed with the circumstances, which is going to be tough to do, it's a big ask. But if I can keep my mind on the right track, I'll be pleased, regardless of the result. So that's sort of the goal going in for me.
But you're in the field on merit. You're there to compete. How difficult is it not to be almost starstruck when you're on the range and you're beside these guys, the greats of the game? Are you quite good that way? Are you able just to focus on what you do rather than looking left and right on the range and saying, geez, there's Rory, or there's DJ or Bryson or whoever?
Yeah, I've not really been in the situation much, so I can't say. One thing I will say is the events I played last year, the 2 European Tour events, everyone's very in their own lane. They have a little chat, but they're very focused on what they do. So no one's really too fussed about all the noise going on around them. So, for me, it's going to be interesting. If I'm standing next to Bryson, there's going to be a lot of hype and noise around it. It's going to be great to watch, but at the end of the day, I'm there to just get better as a golfer and work on my game, So that's sort of the attitude I'm taking. And at the same time, then take all the knowledge from the guys you do play with.
Is there anyone in particular that you are keen to study if you get the chance on the chipping range or putting green or just beside them on the range, just to maybe take 10, 15 minutes out of your own routine to watch?
Possibly. I mean, I'm quite interested to speak with have practice rounds with past winners or, guys that are very experienced there. I think that's always interesting to do. And yeah, I think just wait and see what situations arise in the tournament week, and then, if I feel like it's a good opportunity to do it, I definitely will, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, amateurs have done quite well in the past. I mean, in recent memory, Tiger in '95 was slightly before your time, but it was his first major and he did well. I remember Matt Kuchar in '98 doing extremely well. Patrick Cantley 2012, Ryan Moore as well. I think finished maybe top 20 2005. So, because it is quite a restricted field, there's it's not 156 people in a field. There's perhaps an opportunity for you to make a name for yourself. You've already made a name in the sense that you're an amateur champion, but this is clearly on a global scale, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, this is obviously a different ball game. To be teeing it up with the world's best is pretty special. Let alone it being my first major. It's the Masters, So there's definitely the golf course is there to be played, but it's just the whole You know, it just depends how I handle the whole situation, the whole week. So it's going to be an interesting one because it's a first for me. So that's sort of the exciting part, is to test myself. I know my game's good, but it's just that different stage. I think that's sort of the difference really with this.
Now, you've been in South Africa since basically the turn of the year, practicing, playing the odd event here and there. But please tell me you're not going to do any more surfing between now and the Masters, because it's probably fair to say that you're better on a golf course than you are on a surfboard.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. I mean, I felt like I was pretty good when I first started doing it, but then had a little bit of an injury. So yeah, I've had about two or 3 weeks off, not fully off, but just doing short game and putting. It was a well-needed rest. I'm sort of ready and excited to get back out there, but it's not fully healed. But I feel like my body's in pretty good shape. So yeah, I won't be going near the beach anytime soon.
How concerned were you? How concerned were you seriously when you first picked up the injury? What was going through your mind?
I was pretty concerned. I mean, I thought I tore the muscle, which I did. It was a mild tear. And it was just where the water was so cold. I was in a surf suit, but because I was so cold, and this big wave basically just chewed me up, and I tensed my body, and it just tore. And I was struggling to walk on it. I mean, I spoke to Dan Coughlin, and he said it sounds like it's nothing too serious. And he was saying max time to heal would be 4 to 6 weeks, and the Masters was 6 weeks away at that point. So I was a little bit concerned, but you know, everything happens for a reason. You just got to accept it. I had good fun, and I wanted to you know, get away from golf for a bit and enjoy other sports as well. So you can't wrap yourself up in a bubble all the time. Things just happen. It's the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, aside from the Masters, Joe, it's going to be a big year for you as well. You've obviously got exemptions now into the Open at Royal St George's in July, the US Open at Torrey Pines. I saw you confirmed your registration for that as well. And obviously Walker Cup looming large soon after the Masters. So just how excited are you about the full season? Let's start with the Walker Cup, because that's a huge thing for any amateur golfer. Yeah,
I'm so excited. I think I've never competed in America or played golf in America before as well. So, you know, to be playing in these massive tournaments, you know, it's great to have on your amateur CV and your golfing CV for life. Is something you could say you've played in. So I just sort of can't wait to get the ball rolling and start playing tournament golf now. It's going to be pretty special.
When was the last time you played in a tournament? Are you a little bit rusty, or is this the way that you had kind of planned it out?
Yeah, a little bit rusty. I mean, I had a bit of a mishap. I was meant to play in the Jones Cup, and travel plans from here were a bit of an issue. So I really haven't competed much, and that's just the way it is. That's what we got to accept at the minute with the current climate. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, there's the Georgia Cup just before the Masters. It's just like a little charity event, but that'll be good to play in that. And then my caddy's going to be working with me for about a week and a half, so we can start getting into some process goals and get back out on the course, which would be good.
You keep mentioning this caddy, which is like a dagger through my heart, Joe, because clearly you're not going to take me up on the offer to have you as your bagman for the Masters. But have you been working on any kind of prep for Augusta? I mean, how do you do that remotely when you've never been to the place? You don't have perhaps the yardage books or the green books and things to hand. How do you do that?
I've been lucky. So a friend of mine, Chris Wood, he played it quite a few times. So last year I met with him at the end of the year and took some photos of his yardage book. So he had a lot of good things. Around there, you're supposed to keep it below the hole on the green, a lot of people say, and he's basically got the grain on each green and then the straight parts below the hole with each pin position. So I took a picture of that and I've sent it to my caddy, and then he gave me a blank course planner so we can just start mapping out some things there, which is great. And then I've actually booked 4 practice rounds in about 2 weeks' time at Augusta. So I'll have a local caddy. I can pick their brains, absorb some knowledge there, and then I feel like that'd be quite good to help us along, really.
Yeah, no, it sounds ideal. The big question when it comes to Masters, though, and for people going there, is it pimento cheese sandwiches or peach ice cream sandwiches? Because this seems to be the thing that dominates professional golfers' minds before they go to the Masters. What's their favourite sandwich? Do you have a preference even at this stage, Joe?
No preference. No preference, yeah. No preference.
Good stuff. Joe, listen, on behalf of everyone at England Golf, we wish you well for the Masters. You thoroughly deserve it after winning the amateur last year at Birkdale against Joe Harvey, one of your friends, which was exciting for us to watch an all-English final. The spin-offs are great, and listen, stay clear of the surfboard. Enjoy your trip to the States, and enjoy and milk every single moment of your time at Augusta.
100%, yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's not only the men who have Georgia on their mind this year. Once again, Augusta National will play host to the world's best women amateurs in the week prior to the Masters. England will have 4 representatives on the hallowed turf this year: Belle Wardle, Annabelle Fuller, Emily Toy and Lily May Humphreys. For Lily, it's a chance to play in the tournament for a second time after she was part of the star-studded guest list for the inaugural event back in 2019. 85 of the world's leading amateur women will tee it up at Champions Retreat for the first 2 days of stroke play qualifying. The whole field will then play a practice round at Augusta National before the top 30 players from the 36-hole qualifying carry forward to conclude the championship with another 18 holes of stroke play golf. I'm delighted to say that Lily May Humphreys joins us now in the podcast. And Lily, you're obviously no stranger to golf in America, but even this is something special, isn't it? Second time around. How much are you looking forward to the event?
I'm super excited about playing Augusta this year. I got the invite last year, but obviously due to COVID we weren't able to get out and started, so feels like ages ago since I played the inaugural one, but I'm really excited about getting out there, get going after a funny year last year. This is a good start to 2021.
Absolutely. Now, you were only 17 when you played there the last time. What was that like for somebody so young to go out there and play in such an immaculate golf course?
It was still quite a surreal experience, really, like being able to walk the fairways. You got to look around the clubhouse, the course, and got to see all like where the massive cameras are and the scoreboards, grandstands, just like the Masters. It was quite a good experience just to see the atmosphere and what it looks like to be one of those guys walking the fairways playing a major.
Did it feel a little bit strange, as you say, when you rock up Magnolia Drive and you see everything round about that you've only ever witnessed on TV before? Does it feel as if you're in some kind of golfing Disneyland?
For pretty much every golfer, Augusta's like the ultimate place to go to, really. It's pretty surreal just being able to like see the layout of things, get to see the little bits you don't always see on TV, I guess, don't you? But it is pretty good. It's like a dream come true for pretty much every golfer around the world.
It was a big deal for the women amateurs back in 2019, wasn't it? Because Augusta National, until 2012, didn't allow women members. And staging this event for amateur women was another landmark occasion for Augusta National. Did it feel like a special event? Did it feel different to what you've been used to? Did the whole atmosphere around the place really feel special?
Yeah, it is pretty special around there. Like, they do treat us all really, really well. They do in most events in America, but it was pretty special, really. Like, just felt like a top touring pro, really, like walking around, the way you got treated, all the staff always being helpful, helping you out. Just like, never get treated better anywhere else, I don't think.
And is the course as good as it looks on TV? It just looks like a magic carpet of grass. It looks as if you would be well placed to try and find a weed on the course. Is that the case in reality?
Yeah, it's probably better than TV, walking around, playing on it. Yeah, it's just so much better than on TV. You get to see all the slopes, the greens, you actually get to see it all up close and play it. Yeah, it's definitely better in real life than on TV, especially when there was no spectators, so you got to see everything, got to see across some of the holes and that.
Now, of course, when you get to Amen Corner, that's the thing that everybody remembers from TV, and the tee shot at the 12th is probably one of the most famous in golf, but also one of the most nerve-wracking. So when you were standing in that 12th tee with Rays Creek ahead of you and a green that's about the size of a saucepan, how did you feel and how did you do?
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking even a practice round because everyone knows the history on the holes. so you kind of want to hit a good shot and kind of feel pretty proud of yourself. But yeah, when I played it, I hit the middle of the green on 12. I was pretty proud of that one, considering I hit like an 8 iron and most of the guys probably go in with one wedge. But yeah, I was pretty proud of that one.
Did you hole it for a 2, or was it an easy par and walk on to the 13th tee?
I feel like a 2 was a bit ambitious, so I took my 3 and got out of there.
Yeah. Well done. And the other par 3, of course, that's famous on the back 9 is 16 across the water again. Now, we've seen a few people try and skim it across the water in practice rounds, etc. Did you have a go at that? How did you fare on 16?
Yeah, when we got to the 16th tee, there was like a big hold up because everyone was like hitting their approach shot in and that for the practice round, and everyone had to go at skimming it off the bank, and we all gave it a go, and I was a bit scared of like just trying to skim it and it not just plonking in the water, but I was happy when I saw it started skimming across and somehow it got across the pond on the other side and onto the front edge of the green. It went way better than I expected.
I would quit where you're ahead. Just leave it at that once. Don't try it again and spoil the memory, just in case.
Yeah, I might not, unless I do what John Rahm did last year.
That was pretty special, actually. Have another go. See if you can get a hole in one. You can report back to us once you've taken part in the championship.
Yeah.
There's a serious side to it as well, apart from all the kind of joking that we're doing now. But it is a big championship, and the way your career is progressing, it's one you want to do well in. So have you get high hopes for this year?
Kind of. I'm not really sure what my expectations are because I'm probably one of the few people that haven't really been able to play many competitions leading up to it. Like, the last competition I played, like, that I normally play in was, like, September, British Women's, and then I did US Open in December, then I'm rocking up to Augusta with no practice again, so it's not the ideal prep, but I like to do really well, but then if I don't, it's kind of like, well, I didn't have much prep going into it compared to some people, so try not to be too disappointed, but obviously I'd love to do well. It's a good one to do well in, so I'll try to. Absolutely.
Now, you've got quite a bit of experience of playing golf in America, but I remember you telling me before that it's different wherever you pitch up because, you know, especially the chipping side of the game becomes really difficult because of the different grasses at different courses in America. Can you just explain that? Because some people might think that, well, chipping's chipping, isn't it? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's the same discipline. But just talk us through the issues that you found.
Yeah, when I first went to America, I went to Miami, Florida, and that's got Bermuda grass, which is probably one of the hardest grasses to come from the UK to there because it's just like really loose and the turf is like sand and you can't really like dig the leading edge into the ground, otherwise it basically you duff it or it comes out like a duff even though it's not. I spent ages trying to chip and I couldn't work it out until someone I know who's been there quite a few times says you kind of have to play it like a bunker shot. You just can't, you have to use all the bounce of the club no matter what shot you're playing. You can't get the leading edge involved at all, otherwise it's just going to come out so bad like a duff. It's quite hard to get your head around because around here you can kind of get away with that kind of stuff, like little miss strikes I guess with the way our turf is, but in most places in America you kind of have to have a good strike on the chip, otherwise it's quite punishing really. To be able to control spin, strike, landing areas, it's a lot harder out in America than here, definitely.
Obviously, a lot of golfers your age, a lot of amateur golfers see America as their ultimate destination to play on the PGA Tour or the LPGA Tour. Is that the case with yourself, Lily?
Yeah, ever since I started taking golf seriously, since I was like 11, I've always wanted to be on the LPGA playing, and the ultimate would be just to win a major really, but I just want to get on the tour, be comfortable on the tour in the next few years hopefully if it works out, and then I'll be able to work my way up to being a top player hopefully, but it's definitely always been my dream to be on the LPGA.
Do you feel now at the age of 19 and with a full season ahead in 2021 that perhaps you're getting to the point where you're ready to leave the amateur ranks and look at professional golf?
Yeah, I feel like I am, because last year I would have gone to Q school if it was a normal year, because I would have got another year at Augusta, Curtis Cup, lots of other bits and bobs, and I felt like I would have done most of the things I wanted in the amateur game, really. I would have gone to the American Q school and gave it a go, and hopefully I would have got some kind of status, even if it was on Symmetra, gone pro and done all that, but hopefully I'll be able to get a decently full season this year to work up to Q school this year and be able to do well on that.
If it does turn out to be your final year as an amateur, Lily, there's still exciting things ahead. You're in the England women's squad again this year. You've got individual events. The Curtis Cup is coming up in August, I think, at Conway Golf Club in Wales. Are you excited for the season ahead?
Yeah, I am excited for the season ahead. Just hope it gets going quicker, really. But unfortunately, it's all got delayed a little bit until June, hasn't it? But yeah, I feel like it's going to be similar to last year. All the tournaments are going to be at the back end of the year, which is quite unusual for us, really. Normally it's like all getting going in like April, May for us, isn't it? But it's going to be like the opposite kind of season, really. But yeah, hopefully it'll get going soon. Looks like a good schedule for us anyway, with Vagliano and Curtis Cup in the same year.
You've obviously won a number of events, a number of amateur events over the years. What's the one thing you would like to sign off with before you turn pro? Is there something that sticks out?
Probably Augusta if I could, or the US Open, really. US Women's Open, or British Ladies. One of those big championships would be really, really nice to sign off with, really. But obviously you have to have a good week with such strong fields like that, really, so it's hard to predict. But yeah, just one of those three would be the ultimate, really, to sign off my amateur career with. But if not, I'm quite happy with my amateur career, because it's gone much better than I ever thought it would, really. Like, I never thought I'd do what I did in my amateur career ever when I started playing golf. So I'm happy either way, really. That would just be like the cherry on top of my amateur career, really.
Absolutely. Well, you're absolutely right to be proud of what you've done so far as an amateur, but there may be other chapters still to be written, and the Augusta National Women's Amateur is the next thing on your agenda, Lily. That takes place from March 31 to April 3rd. And everyone at England Golf would like to wish you, Lily, Belle, Annabelle and Emily all the very best for the championship. And you can follow the ladies' progress and stories from the event on the England Golf website and social channels, and hopefully, fingers crossed, an English rose can bloom among the azaleas. Lily, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Now, who's the most important person at a golf club? Is it the head pro, the general manager, the greenkeeper, maybe even the chef who serves up those crispy bacon rolls ahead of a round? The truth is that a lot of golf clubs up and down the country, the heroes of the day are often not on the payroll, and their work is largely unseen. But without this small army of around 40,000 golf club volunteers, the game in this country would not be in a position to thrive. A volunteer may help out in a handicap committee, run social events, support the junior section, assist the pro with coaching, or simply give up their time to help green staff with divoting. But what do these volunteers feel about the role they play in the game? How can clubs best harness the energy provided by this willing band of workers? Well, one man who may have the answer, and I hope he does, is Chris Mills from Manchester Metropolitan University, who in partnership with England Golf has just published a PhD research report into volunteering at golf clubs. It's great to have Chris with us now, alongside England Golf's volunteer manager Matt Bloor, who will be heavily involved in helping golf clubs understand and then implement the recommendations from Chris's report. Matt, great to have you here.
Great to be here, Ian.
And Chris, if I can start with you, just what was the motivation for you to undertake this research in the first place, and understand it's the first of its kind in England?
Yeah, so from a personal point of view, I've been sort of doing research in the voluntary sector, and I've been involved in the voluntary sector for many years. And so with the golf clubs side of things, there had been no research ever done into golf club volunteers. I think it was a fairly not particularly well understood phenomenon, certainly from a research point of view. And I think it was interesting organisations to come into to research, because they do have, golf clubs have many people involved in the sort of production of the golf product, I suppose. Yes, you do have your staff, but you also have volunteers playing a really key role, both in the governance, certainly at private members clubs, and volunteers, helping to organise play and helping out in other ways, and trying to understand their role, what they do, and the impact that they have was an attractive thing to have a look at, particularly because it hadn't been studied before.
So how did you go about pulling the study together, Chris? What were the methods you used to reach your final outcomes?
Yeah, so the approach that we took was qualitative. So that meant really basically going out to golf clubs and speaking to people. So part of the research methodology really was just for me to be able to understand golf clubs. I myself am not, or I wouldn't call myself a proper golfer. I have a set of golf clubs in the garage which get bought out once in a blue moon, and I've never been a member of a golf club. So part of the research was me trying to understand the golf club environment, but also the main part of the research really was me speaking to volunteers, trying to understand their experience, and just kind of put that together. And we took an approach which was building things from the ground up. So we didn't make any assumptions going into golf clubs. We kind of left it quite open to really listen to the volunteers, to hear what they told us, and from that try to identify some of the most significant factors within their experience as a volunteer.
I understand there's a kind of pathway to participation, isn't there? There's a kind of 3-step process. Can you maybe just explain that?
Yes, so one of our key findings really was in terms of understanding how someone became a volunteer within the golf club. And we investigated that by really just listening to the volunteers tell us about their biography in golf and how they became a member of their golf club and then moved on through to becoming a volunteer. And when we put all the evidence together, we kind of identified a fairly common pathway, and that pathway essentially composes kind of 3 stages. There's a new member stage where someone comes into the golf club for the first time, and they, depending on whether or not they are new to golf, they may feel a level of uncertainty around about playing golf. They may be unfamiliar with sort of some of the behavioural norms that you have within the golf clubs, the rules, the etiquettes, the things that you're supposed to do and that you're not supposed to do. But even for quite experienced golfers, even if they join a new golf club for the first time, they will have to overcome certain uncertainties in terms of their relationships and the people within the club and understanding the club. So that's the first phase. If members get kind of begin to get more comfortable within the golf club, we then identified a second stage, which was being an established member. So at that point, they're feeling much more comfortable. They'll probably have got into a certain group of players within the club, and they will probably have some routines around their participation. So they might be playing, on a regular Wednesday roll-up with a regular group of other members. And in a sense, we characterise that phase as feeling quite comfortable within the golf club and quite settled. And then we said we kind of saw that from that position, the volunteers that we spoke to, they were then being an established member provided them the platform to then go on and volunteer within the golf club. And so that was the third stage within the process, which was the volunteer. So in essence, we've got those 3 stages: new member, established member, and volunteer. And what we try to do through our model is try to understand some of the transitions between those stages, and then begin to think about what actually can golf clubs help, or what golf clubs can do to help members make those transitions.
Yeah. And obviously you were getting honest testimony from golfers and from volunteers at the golf clubs that helped, shape your outcomes to put in place the findings from the report. What would you say were the key findings from the report, Chris, that golf clubs can perhaps look to implement?
So yeah, certainly with regards to the pathway to volunteering, I think that some of the key recommendations we make are around about trying to reduce some of the uncertainty for new members, and that may be things around about orientation programs for new members, giving them support in their early days and months of being a new member and helping them to settle into the club, so helping them to form relationships with other members, and also some recommendations about how to activate membership within the club, to activate the membership within the club to volunteer and get involved. And I think that these points, actually, the recommendations that we make, I think are really important at the moment. Particularly, golf clubs have got a lot of new members as a result of the COVID-19 situation. And I think there's a real opportunity here for golf clubs to look at some of those recommendations and to take action to really help their new members to settle in, and also to try and get them involved within the golf club, so that they actually do sustain their participation well beyond the next couple of years and become lifelong members.
Sure. Matt, just turning to you, I mean, what Chris says there rings true, doesn't it? There has been an upsurge in membership in the last year because getting playing rights by being a member of a golf club has become important with as we come out of lockdown and go through the whole COVID pandemic. From your point of view, when you're now going to go out to golf clubs and present these findings and try and let golf clubs understand Chris's report and how they should implement things, are you going to find this invaluable to take to golf clubs to try and help them not only recruit new volunteers but also retain volunteers that are currently within their system?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that Chris's research does that we probably haven't fully understood before is understood the whole pathway from as Chris talks about that settling in phase, but how much impact that has on the person who's playing golf and what they're going to transition and go on to do. And I think getting that model right at those early stages has such a fundamental effect on their golf, but then also how they feel within that club environment, and they feel that sense of club as opposed to just coming there to play golf, and then they're inclined to give something back. And they want to get involved in the sort of the wider club. And once they've then made that decision to volunteer, as long as they're having a positive experience, then all of a sudden you've got a lifelong member there who's loyal to the golf club. It's not going to be affected by, the offer down the road, but they're going to then, help to shape and move the golf club forward, in the years to come. So I think it's vital. And I think, what we've got now is that real sort of consistent model, and it's not just volunteering and sitting in isolation. It's thinking about sort of the whole process from recruiting to then the very important element around how we go about retaining people, and then making that natural transition, as opposed to just thinking, oh, we need more volunteers, what should we do about it? We can almost have a natural process where people are coming into volunteering for the right reasons.
Yeah. And from your point of view, Matt, I mean, is it impossible to overestimate the impact volunteers have at a golf club? I mentioned earlier there's perhaps 40,000 throughout England that help at the various clubs, and I suppose it's simple to say that without volunteers, then golf clubs simply wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's we've probably got 40,000 in core roles doing work week in, week out, but then there's probably 40,000 more just helping out on a less regular basis. And I think those people are doing the jobs that you just go on seeing. They're not always visible within that club setting. They're going on and doing things in the background. And I think if we support the volunteer network effectively, then they're going to shape their club in the right way for the future and help to sustain it in the future. And I think one of the things that we're really conscious of is having a decision-making group that is reflective of the golf club membership. And I think a lot of Chris's research can have a fundamental effect on that, particularly when he's talking about the types of people that are going to be keen to make changes and to make positive change with the golf club. And one of the areas around being a sort of the power of three and getting three forward-thinking, positive people on a committee to help move the golf club forward and make it successful in a sort of a modern golfing environment.
Yeah, one of the things I found interesting, Chris, in the report was traditionally golf clubs maybe draw volunteers from the same demographic, if you like, but one of the findings in your report was to try and broaden that network, include junior members, on committees and in discussions about wider things at the golf club. And that's maybe something that golf clubs should consider going forward, just to kind of change the angle of how they approach things.
I think that's very true, Ian. I think, and it's probably natural that the people that tend to end up in sort of volunteer roles, and particularly maybe in governance roles, say in private member clubs, they will typically be people who have been at the golf club a long time. They will be experienced golfers, they will be good golfers, and they will probably be well ingrained within the ways that things are done within the golf club environment. And I think it's important, I think, also to make sure that isn't necessarily, that's important, but that also we make sure that other people within the club, maybe some of the newer members, also have a chance to influence the club and give what will probably be a slightly different perspective, because I think the perspective of someone perhaps who's been a member for a couple of years will be very different to the perspective of someone who has been a member for 20 years. And actually, I think if golf clubs can bring sort of those different perspectives in, and juniors would be another good example of that, then actually, that's the way then that the clubs will also can be managed in a way that will actually be responsive to everyone's needs and demands within the golf club. And I think that's kind of important for golf clubs to think about that.
Chris, you obviously spoke to a lot of people at golf clubs to inform your report. Did you find them quite cooperative and keen to assist you in your project?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I remember, obviously I've produced a report for the research, but, that wouldn't have been possible without having those research participants being willing to engage in the process. And I think I'm very grateful to those participants as well, because, they shared with me their stories. They were very open and honest about their experiences. And so, whenever you do research, particularly of a qualitative nature, you are reliant upon people contributing to that. So I'm very grateful for those that did participate in the research.
Now, Matt, Chris has done all the donkey work here, and it's now over to you to get out there and talk with golf clubs and encourage them to take on board some of the messaging from conversations you've had already with golf clubs and around the country. Is this being positively received?
Yeah, it certainly has, and I think one of the good things about the research is it's started to reinforce some of the things that we've started to do already, and also we've not just waited until now to start to embed some of the findings that Chris has researched. I think it's meant that we've been able to get going, so it's influenced things like the governance guide, which has obviously been well received by clubs, and programs like the buddy program. I think what we've started to do is just think at how we can encourage more clubs to get involved with it, but also just to formalise it a little bit more. So they've got a working group that supports with the sort of wider retention aspect, and buddies are a sort of fundamental part of that. So I feel like we've got it in a good place in terms of what's already there and ready for clubs, and it's there to support clubs. So everything from our buddy workshops that are free of charge to clubs, to the new member retention guidance for clubs, and obviously, Chris's report with the findings, it's all there and ready to go. And I think from the conversations that we had already, it fits really nicely with what clubs are trying to achieve. But also, as Chris mentioned, with the influx of new members, this next 12 to 18 months, it's going to be absolutely vital. If members get a really good experience in these 12 to 18 months, then they're much more likely to stay around, and they'll naturally then make that transition into volunteering. And that's going to have a benefit for the bottom line of a golf club, because they'll keep their members, but also it's going to stand them in good stead with that volunteer network that they'll have in the years to come. So yeah, we've certainly got to keep it at the fore, and our whole team from our delivery network are all well versed on the findings and the research, and we're there and ready to support clubs who want that extra bit of help.
Good stuff. Well, if anyone wants to read the report in its entirety, it's on the England Golf website. You can read it for yourself and discover Chris's findings. Chris, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for your efforts over the last couple of years in doing the research into this, which I'm sure will inform golf clubs as they go about recruiting and retaining volunteers in the future. And Matt, good luck with rolling this out to golf clubs.
Thanks, Ian.
Lovely. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, let's take a whistle-stop tour around all that's been happening in and around England golf in the last few weeks. The Brabazon Trophy is among several events originally scheduled for May, now rearranged for later in the season. The Brab will now take place between the 19th and 22nd of August at Ganton Golf Club in Yorkshire. The Senior Women's Amateur at Market Raisin goes on from the 28th of June to the 2nd of July, and the England Golf Captains and Senior Series events at Coventry and Stowmarket Golf Clubs are shifted until the 2nd and 3rd of June and 21st and 22nd of July respectively. For full details on the championship season, check out the competitions page on the England Golf website. The R&A's Men's Home Internationals, set to be played at Royal Dornoch in April, have been moved to September, at a venue yet to be decided. England Golf has updated and republished its Play Safe, Stay Safe guidelines for clubs and golfers, following the announcement of the government's roadmap out of lockdown. The protocols for playing the game, as well as the timetable for clubhouse, retail and bar and catering reopening, can be found in the guidance. For all the latest on coronavirus and golf, head to the COVID-19 pages on the England Golf website. Zung Tang Bennett from Faversham Golf Club has been named England Golf's unsung hero for her work in the local community during lockdowns. The former lady captain raised £6,000 for Samaritans by knitting blankets for a local hospital and homeless shelter, and kept spirits high among golf club members with regular online updates, poetry and jokes. Zung was given her award in a surprise online video chat with European Tour star Tommy Fleetwood, and Tommy got more than he bargained for in the call.
How do I buy some of your knitwear?
What? You want to buy some knitwear? Really?
Yeah.
Well, but they're £3 a piece. And you can buy 2 if you like.
And finally, clubs have until the 7th of April to sign up for this year's Girls Golf Rocks programme. If your club is interested in running fun sessions for girls predominantly in the 7 to 14 age bracket and new to the game, then get in touch with England Golf by emailing girlsgolfrocks@englandgolf.org. It's hoped over 200 clubs representing all 35 counties in England will join in the fun and take the game to a brand new audience of junior girls. For all the latest news on the amateur and club scene, and to find out more about championships, handicapping, playing golf, volunteering and governance, then head to the website www.englandgolf.org or search England Golf on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Over the years, South Africa has been a happy hunting ground for England golf players, and despite the obvious hurdles, 2021 has been no exception. Essex's Jack Dyer, a member of the England men's A squad for this year, has been in the Southern Hemisphere since the turn of the year, practising and playing some top amateur events. And clearly the South African sunshine has been to the liking of the 22-year-old golfer from Boyce Hill, a winner of the South African Amateur Stroke Play, and then a gallant runner-up in the match play stages of the same event. Jack, it's great to have you here on the line from the very plush-sounding Serengeti Estates. Now, I half expect you to do this interview in Afrikaans because you've been in South Africa for so long, but if we can stick to English. But
yeah, no, I haven't learned too much Afrikaans. I'll stick to English, thank you.
Now, as I said, it's been a great start to the year, and we'll jump right into the highlight, the winning of the Proudfoot Trophy for the stroke play qualifying at the South African Amateur. Terrific scores of 67 and 66 to claim that title. Can you just talk us through that and what it meant to you to win such a prestigious title?
Yeah, it was obviously a fantastic experience to win the stroke play there at Royal Joburg in Kensington. I felt good the whole week. I mean, I was luckily had 2 events previous to that, which I played some solid golf in. So it's always nice to get a bit of confidence from the practice that I've been doing previously to those tournaments. So I kind of felt like the practice I've been doing been paying off, and I was confident in all part of my game. So going to that tournament, it wasn't a tournament that I was initially planning to win. It was kind of one of those ones where, you know, you play the stroke play into the match play. That's the main goal, to get into the match play. Anything else is an added bonus. Played lovely the first day, had a 5 under around the West course there. And just said to myself, you know, why not go and try and win this thing? I didn't actually know there was a specific trophy for that. But when I found out on that night, I thought it would be a good target for me to go and try and win. So the second day started off a bit bumpy, actually. I was kind of had a few birdies, a few bogeys, not what I planned, but had a lightning delay, like a half an hour lightning delay on my. So I started on the back nine on the second hole. So I walked in and just said to myself, I'm playing fantastic golf. It's just not quite happening in a minute, and anything could change at any time. Went back out there, bogeyed the hole that I resumed on. So I thought, oh, there we go. And then had a run of, I think I went birdie, eagle, birdie on 5, 6, 7, 8, and finished with a par, and that was enough to win by 2. So it was a really cool experience. All the messages I received from everyone back home, it was such a cool feeling to everyone that was looking at my progress out here, and to do it for them as well as myself and family. Everything was absolutely fantastic. So it was really, really cool experience.
Now, if you're going to win a championship, that's the way to do it, isn't it? With a finish like that. What happened at the
Yeah,
last?
exactly
Just a par at the last. What happened?
Just a par at the last. Yeah, I had a little birdie putt. I was nervous on the last. I was saying, I had an interview after my round, and I said that's what it's all about. As much as you try and put yourself in that situation when you're practicing, you can only experience it in the real deal. So lucky enough, I learned a lot from that win itself, and took that view to the match play in some tough matches that I had leading up to the final and the final itself. So
you clearly had some momentum building at that point, Jack, because you seemed to. It looked from this side certainly that you kind of breezed through the match play. You were never really in any trouble. It was okay. It wasn't massive victories, but you weren't really going beyond 15th, 16th hole in most of them. So fairly comfortable from this side of the viewing anyway. When you got to the final, Christian obviously played superbly, but I was just looking at your scoring. It's not as if you can feel disappointed. It's not as if you didn't win, but you didn't lose.
Exactly
if that makes any sense. You were 4 under par in the morning round, found yourself a couple down. And 2 under in the afternoon when the match was closed out. So you were still playing terrific golf through the match play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was obviously in the moment that it happens, I was obviously very disappointed to lose or to fall at the final hurdle. But when I had a bit of time to reflect and look back, I didn't really do much wrong on that day. I had obviously, you're going to make a couple of bogeys during 36 holes in that match play scenario, but I'm happy with how I played, and I'm happy with my result. Even though I finished second, it would have been fantastic to lift the trophy at the end of the week. But like I said, looking back, there's a lot of positives to move on with, and this is the only start of my season. So hopefully, if I'm trending in the right direction, I'll be looking forward to the rest of the season when it does get underway. But like you said, that it was a long week. I played some fantastic players. I had one match that kind of stood out. I played really well in the quarterfinals. That was the only game that kind of stood out. I think I was 7 or 8 under through 13 holes there, and that was kind of my biggest victory. But playing guys like Martin Vorster, obviously junior President's Cup player, top 25 in the world, just to experience a match play scenario, that kind of player is obviously something that I can use to my advantage in the future if I'm in that scenario again. So a fantastic week all round. I really enjoyed myself, and Golf RSA have been fantastic, obviously having us lads out here as well. So big thanks to them as well.
What about the whole experience, Jack? Just been out there fending for yourself, playing some top class amateur events at a point where obviously there's not a lot going on in Europe just now. Some of the other boys from the England squads have gone to Dubai or
Correct,
in America because they're preparing for potentially Walker Cup in May. How have you found the whole experience being in South Africa and just sharpening your game?
Yeah, I think it's been really good for me to have sort of a disciplined practice routine. Obviously, when I was lucky enough to get a bit of practicing before I left, it wasn't at the facilities that we have out here at our disposal. I think I've learned a lot from college. I've took it with me out here in terms of routines, practice routines, and just disciplining myself so I'm getting the most out of every day. I've said to interviews in out here before, after rounds, that we're just so lucky to be out here playing golf and practicing. Obviously, there's not a lot going on back home right now. And the people that say like you're in Dubai or they're in America, there have been a few competitions, but it's mostly been just kind of practice. I do enjoy practicing, but for me, tournament golf is where it's at. I love playing tournaments. I love competing against other people. And just for me to be able to do that has been great. It's also helped my mental side of the game a little bit, actually. Even when I'm not playing my best golf, I kind of reflect and think, you could be at home not really doing a whole bunch right now, and you're out here in South Africa in t-shirt and shorts playing golf. So I just think that's made me I think that's generally one of the reasons why I've been playing pretty solid, because I'm nice and relaxed. I feel good. I'm just lucky to be out here, so really thankful that I've got the opportunity to come out here.
Absolutely. Don't rub it in too much, Jack.
No, I will not. No, I'll lay off on that.
Now, it'd be fair to say that, you know, this hasn't really come as a bolt from the blue. You've been progressing steadily towards this kind of form for a while now. I mean, last summer, when we had restricted events in England, you played exceptionally well. I remember speaking to you after. You had a course record at the Bracken course at Wales Spa and the English Amateur. A course record at Sherwood Forest when you played in the Brabazon Trophy. And we're in there fighting for both events. So clearly, this has been something that's been bubbling under a big victory and progress along these lines.
Yeah, I think for me, last summer it was the first time in a very long time that I've had just golf to think about. Obviously, I was at college in America and A-levels and stuff before that. I've always been quite into my studies, so that's been a big thing for me. Obviously, it's been, parents have said, you know, you can play golf, but studies comes first. And obviously, I graduated from Cal State Fullerton in May. And that was kind of the first time that I had all my time to focus on golf in all areas, fitness and mental game and the actual game itself. So it was nice to, like I said earlier, for all that practice that I was in the early part of summer to come into handy in good time. And I've just kind of tried to carry that form on for as long as possible. Obviously, a little break in the winter there, just to reflect on last summer and how it went and improve on things that I think needs to be improved on. But I think this trip out here is going to set me up for hopefully a successful summer. Just going to keep working hard at my game and keep making sure everything's in check. And hopefully when the season does get underway with the events that I'm really looking forward to playing in, I'll put some good rounds together.
Now, it could be a big year for you as an individual, but also as part of the England squad. So you're in the men's A squad for this year. You must be looking forward to getting the chance to represent your country at some point.
That'd be absolutely amazing. I mean, that's what, you know, most amateur golfers dream of doing, is playing for their country. And I'm obviously very honoured to be part of the England setup. I had some winter sessions before I came out here, and I think they've helped me absolutely massively. I've been speaking to the managers and the guys when I've been out here, and they've been helping me, giving me some great advice. So I'm really looking forward to working with them, reflecting with them when I get back as well. And to play for my country, that'd be absolutely outstanding. I can't wait for the opportunity if I do get it. So I'm looking forward to hopefully finishing off my trip out here in a good manner and carrying it on through the summer.
Are you missing anything about being back home? Are you missing anything about Essex when you're sunning yourself out there in the South African veldt?
Nah, a couple of times. I mean, obviously miss my family, my friends, but I'm used to that being away in America. But so busy, you know, you play tournaments. We had 4 tournaments in a row. I think there was obviously the South African swing with the South African stroke play, the African amateur and the SA amateur. That was one after another. It was kind of finish a tournament one day, next day you're playing a practice round for another one, and you travel here and you travel there. And then, like I said earlier, 4 of us here from Serengeti just went down to the Southern Cape to play the Cape Province Open down at George and Kingswood. So that was shortly after the SA Amateur finished. So this is kind of the first week in like a month now where I've just get time to practice really. So that's nice. And like I said, my last tournament out here starts on Sunday. So it'll come round before I know it, and then I'll be back home in Essex. But it's been a busy time, and I think when I'm busy, it's like the same in college when people said, you know, do you miss home? I'm so busy all the time studying and practicing that you don't really get the chance to think about it. So I like keeping myself busy. I'm not really good at doing nothing. So I'm not really looking forward to the 10-day quarantine in a hotel, but it's one of the things that's got to be done, I'm afraid.
Well, that's it. Well, certainly you've made yourself busy in South Africa this winter, playing some terrific golf and representing England extremely well. So congratulations on that, Jack.
Thank you.
And we look forward to following your progress as the season goes on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of the England Golf Podcast. Thanks to my guests Joe Long, May Humphreys, Chris Mills, Matt Bloor and Jack Dyer, and to you for listening in. Remember, you can keep up to date with all that's happening in club and amateur golf in England by going to our website at englandgolf.org and following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. Just type England Golf into the search function. If you're able to get back out onto the course when we reopen, then have a great time. absence definitely makes the heart grow fonder and those short putts seem longer. Until the next time, bye for now.